So you touched on something that was really important. I mean, the fact is that we know that that was kind of how it was pre-COVID. So we already were in an overstressed situation. So that the high achieving working model was or is already flawed. It's already pushing people to go too far. And the fact is that it's looking for results without really much care of what the cost of that is on people. And it's, from my perspective, from even just my own experience as a business perspective, that's inefficient because that's very short-sighted. It's not looking at the bigger picture. Then you throw in COVID, and then all of a sudden you're still expected to maintain the same high level of standard or so on, plus the challenges of trying to maintain now that things are being downsized, people are being put on pause, things, still the show must go on as far as,
they have changed a huge amount of things, even products and everything. Some businesses completely revamping their offering, their completely different world now. And,
so based on
on
that,
top of all that,
so based on that, there's already the need to make those types of shifts to say, okay, look, I do need to be a leader. In fact, I need to be at my best self, and to be at my best self, I need to take care of myself. Otherwise, we're missing the boat. So then you throw in this whole complete paradigm shift to what's going on now. We're going virtual. Things are more delivery, logistics, this, that, but we're still working from home. We don't meet people as like we used to. This is fantastic technology, but we as people are not quite as connected, even though we're constantly connected, checking our phones, doing this, but it's not live connection, or it's not even personal connection.
And it makes it even more tricky for a leader also.
Absolutely. So for those type of people who find themselves in that situation, who wouldn't want to necessarily admit to that, which is understandable. It's, there's no judgment here. There's fair play. It's completely understood that to be a leader, there's this idea that I can't show weakness, when in fact I see it takes a lot of courage, more strength to say, okay, you know what, I need to sort some stuff out, as opposed to just put my head in the sand and then keep going and then burn out. But some people don't see it that way, where a coach could come in and say, hey, look, have you thought about it this way? Have you done it this way? How about this? And they go, oh, I never thought about that. So for someone in your position, and the way COVID is now, we are coming out of lockdown. And, I think, we seem to be moving away from being in lockdown mode. And that's going to present some other challenges. We've been cooped up for this period of time. We might come out and be like, oh no, wait a minute, I'm not ready for so many people. I'm not ready for all this, even as leaders. What would you say to those people who will continue or want to continue, but know something needs to shift and wouldn't even maybe know where to begin and are afraid to admit that?
What do you mean exactly?
Well, we know that the world is paradigm shifting. The expectation from the role of the job as a leader is still there.
Yeah.
They are expected to perform no matter what, make it happen, whatever it takes. But there's a personal cost. So some of them might be going, as we open up, as we start to go back into this world again, I have now had time to reflect and go, something needs to change. But I don't want to lose my job, or I want to get the promotion, or I want to maybe go into business for myself, but I'm hesitant, I'm scared because I want to keep what I know is familiar, because then I have that, but it's still toxic. So what would you say to them?
My honest view is that we're not gonna go back. It's not gonna be the same. We're not gonna go back. And even at the beginning of the pandemic last year, I was already saying to my HR colleagues, because I'm also a committee member for the Kent branch of the CIPD, which is a Chartered Institute for HR and Learning and Development Professionals, that I was saying to them that it's not going to be the change. And if companies are trying to force people to go back into the office, let's say work in office 9 to 5, if they will try to force people back into the office, they might go back because they haven't got another option short term. But longer term, they will not want to stay, and they will see people going, because people got used to working from home. And it's been proven that it can be done. So there's no reason why to go back to the office 5 days a week. 1, 2, obviously we have technology. Most companies, let's say that most companies have put new technology in place that makes it even easier, work better this way. So I don't think it's going to be the same. So that just tells me that everyone needs to approach things differently. Everyone needs to be willing to be more flexible, to listen to people, what people want. Especially companies want to maintain their talent and attract talent. More flexible they are, better it will be for them long term. Talk to your people, get to know them, even more important than ever before. Get to know them, understand what's important to them, and find ways to make it work. Because we can work distance. We can still, I think the ideal way of going back to the office is a hybrid version where you work from home some days, and then you can manage, you can have breakfast with your husband at home and pick up the children from school and all that sort of stuff, which they weren't able to do before, a lot of them. But at the same time, have the opportunity to go into the office and meet people, because one thing in the lockdowns being the biggest issue is that lack of that social connection, and just, the little coffee chats and all that kind of thing, when you can build the relationships, when you can have that conversation. Because, you and me can set up a Zoom meeting and we have an hour for, I don't know, working on this project. You might not have time or even the brain space to talk about other things that are important. And unless someone asks the question, you don't know there's something else going on. So you need to be a lot more deliberate about having those conversations in some other way. But when you're busy at home, because just because you're working from home, it doesn't mean you work less at all. A lot of people, a lot of my clients work longer hours because they just there and say, oh, I can just go down. I can just go down and have my dinner in 10 minutes. And then an hour later, you're still working. And most of the clients are like that. So they don't work less, they possibly work more, but they don't have that opportunity to have that little conversations that clear things off, or helps you come up with that other idea that you haven't thought about because you're so wrapped up in your own head. You might not notice other things unless you talk to other people and understand more about that. Obviously, technology is helping a lot, and they've got team meetings and various other things, but that social interaction is still very, very important. So that for that reason, I think that hybrid version of what we used to have is the ideal. I'm just thinking, have I answered your question?
You have answered the question and then some. So, I mean, the thing that what you kind of touched on, which I think is also very, very important, is that COVID for many was also an opportunity to take pause and reflect and review and then potentially redirect themselves. However, there is that fear element of, can I do something else? Can I find it? The world has changed. Can I get a job? Okay, I'll hang on to the one I've got, but I really don't want it. Or I don't like it. Or the expectations are the same and the world has changed. Something's not doing. But you have people who have taken the time to take care of themselves. They're like, oh my goodness, you know what? I actually wanted to get fit. Now I've got an opportunity to run out my front door and go get fit and then do this before I go to work, where before I was commuting. So in this changing world, to get to the question of, you have the people who have been working very, very hard during COVID, or about to go back into working hard again, harder in a different way because things are opening up. But you also have the other side of the people who have been like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to take care of myself and get back into taking care of it.
A lot of people changing. A lot of people now want to have their own business because they want the freedom. They want to continue to have the freedom to manage their own time, to work on the things that are important to them. And that's another thing I was going to say earlier, is that there are a huge amount of people. I haven't looked at numbers and stats, but I am sure that a lot more than ever before have actually now started at least a little side gig, a little side job, something they started creating. And when they're ready, they will leave the corporate fixed environment, unless they learn to be more flexible, and they will start their own thing. I have met so many people who've done that. You and me have met many, many people who we've met on
I've even worked with
programs,
them,
for example.
so I know what you're saying. I've even worked with those people who are doing it. In fact, I've coached some who are making that transition. My question also comes around the fact is that those people who have done that, who might not be ready to pivot yet into their own, it's a side gig. So they still have their job, they're still juggling, they need to, maybe save some cash or do whatever, or get something before they say, okay, you know what, I'm going. But there's they're scared, going, wait a minute, I've now struck a balance with myself. I'm now feeling better. I'm more healthy. I was advised to lose weight. I've done that. I'm really afraid if I go back into my working world, I'm going to go back to my old ways. I'm going to now start putting on weight because I'm sitting at the desk longer than I did before, eating fast food like I did before because I'm not at home cooking good food. Uh-oh, I'm really frightened about going back to my old habits. Help. And it seems to me, from my experience, and I've heard from you as well, that that's a perfect place for a coach to really support that transition, whether you're going in and going, uh-oh, or you're trying to leave and you're going, uh-oh. There's still that point of where you need someone there to say, okay, you know what? I'm in your corner. So could you speak to basically how somebody from your perspective as a coach could really help the people who are finding themselves, no matter where it is, just in transition? They're not sure what's going on.
Well, one of the best times to go to a coach, because sometimes you get stuck there for various different reasons. Sometimes it's a bit of confidence you need. Sometimes it's the extra support you need. Sometimes you need that support just to see things you're not quite seeing yet. And you can get stuck there for a very long time and not get anywhere.
Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of coaching. That through coaching, just little questions, just someone listening to you, reflecting back on what you're saying, what you're thinking, helping you get things untangled and clarified, can help you create the focus on things that will actually make a difference for you with regards to your progress forward and taking those steps that you need to take. And just to start with, helping you identify the best steps you can take that work for you, that you can maintain, not what someone else is doing, but things that align with who you are, how you work, what you're motivated by, what's important to you, all those other things. So you can identify the steps that will work for you.
Exactly. I think that's the beauty of it, is champions have coaches because they get the best pulled out of them, even though they may be incredibly good at what they do. You just might not know it at that time, what's the best course of action. So I think you've touched on the key point of really, it's not so much that this misunderstanding that coaches are here to give you the magic pill. The coaches are there to support you, that you find your own magic pill or your action steps or your own plan and vision.
That's the basic idea behind coaching, that we empower people to come up with their own answers. Absolutely. Very often you know your answers, you know the solutions, you just don't see it yet because it's tangled up, it's hidden in there somewhere, but you know. And sometimes we don't dare to acknowledge that that's the solution because we fear, what if it doesn't work, and what if that, and all these negative chatters in our own head is holding us back from actually doing what we already know we should be doing. And
I mean, one of the big things.
Say something just got out of my head.
That's okay. That's okay. Because I mean, I think one of the things that is a nice kind of a quick reframe, and then maybe, just in thinking about time to close out. But I think that quick reframe is that this constant chatter in the head of what if it doesn't work? And I think the beauty is that if you have someone who just says, hey, wait a minute. And one of the questions that I know I always have at some point in a coaching session or series, this question comes up: what happens if it does work? And we don't look at that a lot because we're also worried about the cost of something going wrong than the cost or the benefit of something going right.
Yeah, that's the automatic little mindset monkey in our head, is protecting us from pain in the future. So very often it holds us back so successfully that even if the risk of something going wrong very small, it will still hold us back because we allow the fear to hold us back. What I was going to say earlier is about, you were talking about coaching is not about telling you what to do. Some people, it's a different style of coaching, and some coaches might combine coaching with consulting. So if they are from a background, for example, I also mentor, and when I mentor, also, coach at the same time, because the people I mentor, HR managers, for example, who are very capable. So I don't need to tell them what to do, although they thought they wanted a mentor. But I actually coach them because they know what they need to do. They know what they want to do. they just, for whatever reason, it's a bit of a confidence issue or something else that they might have not thought about. So I just help them come up with those things, those solutions, those ideas that they don't, sometimes they just don't have the time to reflect on things properly. And as I said, make things visible that are there. So they're just hiding behind those trees. So I always try not to give them advice, although I'm from an HR background. I've seen things done various different ways, but it doesn't mean it's going to work for them. If they ask how I've done it, I will share with them, but I always try not to suggest anything, because those things might not be working for them for whatever reason. Their style is better, their experience is better, their environment is different. So I just help them think it through, what the different options are, the different path, why some would work, some wouldn't work, what it is that they want, and align things with that. So they come up with the exact steps that they can take. Not what I would take, but what they can take and will work for them. Or at least they can try. And if it doesn't work, then they try option B and C.
Well, I think that's the key. You mentioned a key word before, and you've repeated it again in another way, is that this whole notion of becoming empowered. And I think we are empowered. We are incredibly resourceful. We have an immense amount of wisdom all within our systems anyway. There's a lot of side influences that change that. And as you mentioned, old patterns, things that get in the way, the ego, all kinds of things that get in there. But ultimately, the coach is there to support really that you can get beyond that and actually achieve what it is, not necessarily everything in the moment, though you're living in the now, but what you actually are looking to get to in the future, because it's very future focused as well as present focused, which is different than being past focused of trying to
that's more
heal. Then healing something that might really need a different approach that one can do or should do. I shouldn't say should, but would be a good idea to
I don't like that word. I don't like shoulds. There's something behind it.
It's a difficult one, but I mean, there are some things that it would serve a person better, that if they'd sorted out some of the things that are obviously quite serious, that might be really, really some kind of, whether it's trauma or something that's very, very serious, before they get to the point of going, okay, I'm just going to forget about that and try and move forward. It will stay with you if you haven't quite come to some resolution.
Yeah, it potentially will still block you in your progress. So I have had people coming to me, for example, a mother whose son he's had a number of various different issues, drug issues, some mental health issues, grief, and other things. And I was honest with her and I told her that, listen, I think he'd probably need therapy or counseling first to overcome some of those serious, deep issues. And then when he's ready to start moving forward, then come back to me, because I'm a coach. I focus on the future, but until he manages to sort out some of the things that are going on inside there and there, our work won't be as effective, because he just won't be ready to take those steps forward when he's still struggling with what's behind.
Exactly. So that's something that's very important to be aware of. And I think now, particularly as the COVID world is opening up or not opening up, we've all had some impact in some respect. Our lives have been changed, but in moving forward, I would say, particularly for you, Ildiko, reach out to you, because I think, not only with your, corporate or working or business background, you're very, experienced as well as knowledgeable about what it takes to get the balance right, to make sure that you are optimal, so that you aren't heading for a burnout, but also in taking those awarenesses and skills and strategies and applying them to, as the world is changing, still some of those tools can be applied and new ones need to be discovered, but with support. And that's where the biggest tool in the toolkit is the coach. So I would say, to share here, to kind of wrap this up, is just, reach out to you, Ildiko, because I think, and if somebody wanted to, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Ildiko Foote. I'm also on Facebook, but obviously my professional profile is on LinkedIn. I also have a website called themethodofcoaching.com.
Fantastic.
with more information about my work and my contact details.
And so is there any parting words of wisdom or shares or something you'd like to leave on a footnote on here as we head our way off into the evening?
Good question. I wasn't prepared for that. Give me a moment. I often get asked who I would recommend coaching to. And I'm honest. I think coaching can benefit anyone, but you really need to be ready for it. You really need to want it, because having a coach is wonderful, but it will only be effective if you are willing to take the steps and act on the things you learn through your coaching sessions and the exercises the coach shares with you and the insight you're gaining and things you're learning about yourself and the world. If you don't act on it, you still won't succeed. You know, it's not a magic pill. You're not just gonna suddenly be able to fly and do everything you want to do. It is still hard work. But what a coach can help you, especially if you find the right coach for you. That's one of the first things I talk to tell my clients is that this is me. I explain how I work, what I do, what my background is, and things like that, and the things I believe in. But I do tell them that please do speak to other coaches, because the most important thing is that you find a coach who is right for you. So the coach who has a style that you can very well work with, the coach you respect and you will listen to, and you will allow yourself to open up, be opened up by those weird and wonderful questions the coaches sometimes may ask. It's very important that you feel comfortable to just go with it and see where it takes you, right? And then you come up with all these wonderful new ideas and insights and understanding and clarity. And it's all good, but if you're still not acting on it, it's still not going to take you a lot further forward. Because the coach is not there to do it for you, to make things happen, to make magic happen, but the coach can help you identify what are the steps you can take that will take you forward a lot faster to where you want to be.
Fantastic.
It's a long answer, sorry.
No, it's a good answer. It's an accurate answer. It's a genuine answer, and it's your answer. And as a coach, with the experience you have, it's a real answer. So thank you, Ildiko.
No, thank you for having me. Thanks for your time.
No, it's fine. And like that's the beauty of coaching. It's, as far as I see it, it's win-win. So, because I'm forever always learning, everybody is different. And I definitely will be the first one to say, I don't know near anything of everything, but
none of us do.
it's an amazing journey. So thank you for sharing.
No, thank you.
Thank you.